Kia ora koutou katoa, ngā mihi nui ki a koutou katoa, ko Brooke Jacob toku ingoa, he tangata tiriti ahau, no ini ahau, e noho anau ki Tāmaki Makaurau. Kia ora folks, welcome to my Thinking Aloud with Nikki Goodson today. My name is Brooke Jacob, for those of you who haven't met, tangata tiriti from India, and live in Tāmaki Makaurau in Auckland. Today's conversation, Nick, is one I've been looking forward to for a while. Stumbling over my words. And I've really found it fascinating how Nikki has been trying to kind of express her creative side, but also her marketing side and kind of the work she does. I don't know what she's actually going to say today, so that should be interesting. But yeah, I've been looking forward to this conversation for a bit. I'll bring her on in a second. And let her introduce herself and dive straight into the conversation, eh? Bring Nikki on. There she is. Good on, Nikki. Welcome.
Kia ora, Barak. Thank you.
Do you want to just introduce yourself? You're very welcome. I'm really glad you're actually on here. Been wanting to get you on for a while. Do you want to just introduce yourself, just so however you feel like?
Sure. Kia ora tātou, ko Nikki toku ingoa. No Piritana nui o ku tipuna, ke te noho o ki Tāmaki Makaurau. Yeah, it's great to see you all. And thank you for having me.
Kia ora. Because you're like Tāmaki born and bred, you're Waitākere. I saw your bio was like, ooh, Kererū. that was fascinating. Tell me that story. What is that about? Your mom swooning over the Kererū.
Yes, yeah. So I grew up out west near the Waitākere Ranges in Titirangi, if you know the area. So my mum was a big bird fan, and we would often have birds or sometimes Kererū flying through. I saw some the other day actually. So now I'm based between Waitākere and Waitemata.
Oh, cool. Oh, nice. Yeah, there's something about Kererū. It's one of those birds that you're like, I'm not sure you should be able to fly. It's like there's this
they're quite
lumbering,
fat.
Fat.
Yeah.
I've heard stories about how tasty they are. Well, I won't go there, I promise. Yeah. Thanks very much for coming on, Nikki. I've been wanting to have this conversation for a while. I've watched your work from a distance. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what you do? Just as because we know you're creative, we know you're in marketing.
Yeah, sure. I guess I like to always lead with me as a person because I like to establish that connection first, partly because what I'll talk about more in a second as well, but I often find marketing there can be a bit of a negative association with it, and I also, because of that reason, like to just make sure people know me first rather than having that
good point
up front. But yes, I do work in marketing and as a marketing consultant or freelance kind of executive. Or under my business name, Impact Digital.
No, that's cool. And I love what you just said about leading with who you are rather than what we do. And I think that's a really good point, because it can be, we get so obsessed with the doing of what we're trying to do. Like, who are we in the world? That's so much more of an interesting conversation as well. I mean, even just as a conversation, but also we connect so much better with knowing who other people are rather than what they do. I do stuff.
Yeah.
And what would you say you're trying to change in the world, Nikki?
Well, again, I think like everyone, there's so many different directions I could take this conversation in. Like, personally, I think I'm trying to change things about myself at the moment as well, but I won't go down that road. I'll keep it related to my work today. So I guess I'm trying to change the perception of marketing, which might seem a little bit Inception in itself, because marketing's all about perception and
Yeah.
but yeah, why do I want to do this?
Mm.
Basically, like, I don't know if you've noticed, are in a bit of some kind of crisis situation, and we really need more of these purpose-led, values-led,
Yep.
world changing
Mhm.
businesses, and we need them to grow, and
Yep.
we need them to really start, leading the way, and that actually requires really great marketing.
That's quite
So
true. Eh? Yeah.
yeah, so
Yeah. Sorry, go on.
yeah, like, I mean, look at all those companies over there that are polluting and
Mm-mm.
creating all number of other negative impacts.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't get there without marketing.
That's true.
They're doing strategy, advertising, consumer research, all types of different activities to
Yeah, yeah.
grow their business and their message. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think we just kind of have to we need to get over our hang up a bit with not liking marketing. This thing about
I
like, oh,
agree.
I don't like marketing, I don't want to do marketing. It's like, okay, but like we actually need to now, because we need to move things forward.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I think there is a cultural cringe thing about selling or sort of pushing a thing. Is that what you're finding with some of these conversations? People not wanting to do marketing. Is that the kind of thing that's coming up?
Yeah, totally. And especially with the type of businesses or people that I look to work with,
Mm-hmm.
you know, they're all like very, people that are wanting to do business in line with their values, purpose-led,
Mm-hmm.
impact-driven, So there is a very strong desire to do it, like in a way that feels natural and authentic. And I
Fair
totally
enough.
get it, and I totally agree.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I think when people think of marketing, they think of like, yeah, really quite pushy advertising or salespeople, or but that's just kind of, with just about anything, there's positives and negatives, and it's the same with marketing.
Mm-hmm.
You might have seen recently, I think it was the Nelson Marlborough Climate Forum,
Oh, yeah.
something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
They posted recently a campaign that they've been doing, and
Right.
it's the headline is something like, ethical banking hotter than climate change. And they've got these great creative all up on
Nice.
billboards and stuff. And
Yeah. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's an example, right? That is marketing. That's the
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
comms marketing. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Sort of this perception of what it is to do something. It's like my wife and I think you know this. My wife and I moved here in 2009, and I remember one of the earliest things I remember on TV at the time was the Mad Butcher,
Right. Yeah.
and it was this whole yelling at you to buy meat. And it was it's just, and I mean, I'm not critiquing the thing itself, but I think there can be an idea that somehow that is what this is all about. But
Mm.
that's not what you do.
No, of course not. It doesn't have to be like that. Yeah. I
No,
mean,
yeah.
for me, I kind of define marketing as, I guess, understanding, attracting, and communicating or connecting with
Nice.
who you're trying to reach. So,
Yep, yep, yep.
there's
Nice.
lots of different ways of doing that.
Yeah, yeah, totally right.
Yeah.
Because and you've talked a little bit about purpose-driven, values-driven organizations that you work with or look to work with. Say a bit more about what kind of organizations are those? Because
Mm.
you do quite a lot of regenerative work as well. I mean, I know you're interested in climate change and some of that stuff, yeah.
Yeah, I guess my focus with my work, I
Mm.
picked out a few of the SDGs. So I think I generally kind of focus around um, gender equity,
Cool.
sustainable cities and communities, and
Mm-hmm.
what's the other one? Responsible consumption and production.
Oh, yep.
So,
Nice.
so yes, I aim to try and work with businesses like that,
Mm.
but also in some of the pro bono work that I do, like with, I've done some campaigns just for fun, like the Refill Revolution, that we
Oh, yeah.
did an event at Ellen Marble Centre at the beginning
Yeah.
of the year. Yeah, and like for women in urbanism or Manzana, things like that.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, but actually a project that I've done recently with Bike
Yeah.
Auckland,
Mm-hmm.
we were looking at how we could refresh their marketing for their bike valet program.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Yeah, super cool program. So yeah, we
Yeah.
did some refreshed messaging, some
Yep.
discovery on like what the challenges are there, and we actually had a webinar with some speakers from Tāmaki and Clean Event as well. So I think that's on their
Oh, very
YouTube
cool.
channel as well if anyone
Oh,
wants to
yeah.
go watch it.
I might check that out. Is that a project you can talk a little bit more about since it's finished as well? Because I'm quite curious.
Yeah, I
Okay,
guess. Yeah, I
tell me
mean,
if you can't. Tell me if there's something that comes up that you're like, oh, you can't talk about that. That's fine, right? Because I mean, I think that's a really interesting example of the kind of work you do. Because it's like, what was Bike Auckland trying to change when they brought you in? Because they're trying to change something. What were they trying to change, or what were you trying to change with them?
yeah. Yeah, I'm not too sure how much I should talk about, but yeah,
Yeah.
basically they just wanting to promote their bike valet service more.
Mm-hmm.
So if you know it, that's the pop-up valets that they have outside big events like sports events and
Oh, yep.
concerts and things like that, and where you can go
Right.
and like dock your bike for free. And it's an
Cool.
awesome service, and I've used it.
Oh, man. Oh,
Yeah,
right.
so yeah.
Ooh. Oh, I didn't know about this, but yeah, that sounds like a
Yeah,
cool thing.
yeah, you can check it out on their
Yeah.
website.
So you can actually ride there and you're not worried about parking the thing. You just, yeah. Oh, that
Yeah,
makes sense.
exactly,
Yeah.
because that's one of the
Yeah.
big challenges, is like safe, secure bike parking. So this is
Especially at
turning into
events,
promo
right?
for Bike Auckland, which is all good. Yeah.
Especially at events, I was like, yep, bike was there, now it's not there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when you're doing this sort of marketing kind of work with these organizations, what gets in the way of, and you've already started to talk about it, so I just want to bring you back there. What gets in the way of them, oh, we don't want to do marketing. Why do they think that way? What's
Mm,
getting in the way?
yeah. And this is not just about Bike Auckland, since I've just been talking
No,
about
no,
them.
like everybody else. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think there's a couple of things that can get in the
Mm,
way. So with marketing,
mm,
especially for maybe smaller businesses that aren't used to doing it, or new founders,
mhm, mhm.
um, they marketing often requires some type of getting out of your comfort zone,
Right.
because it can be things like this, like a webinar. This is
Mhm.
out of my comfort zone.
Thank you for
But
coming. Yeah.
yeah. Um, so it often requires doing things that you're not so comfortable with,
Mhm.
and perhaps there's a little bit of personal development required there, as well.
Mm,
Also, in terms of breaking those conceptions about what marketing is, or
right.
yeah. So there's a little thing there. Also, when you're working with teams, there can be also like working together,
Mhm,
or
mm,
working collaboratively, I think, is another barrier sometimes.
mm.
Yeah, like um, I guess there can be things that you might have experienced in the past that could be affecting
Ah, yep.
the way that you know, the way
Yep.
yeah, you work in teams, and
Mhm, mhm.
and or what you are expecting from people, or
Yep, yep,
etc.
yep, yep.
Won't go too far into that, but
Yeah.
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 So I think, yeah, those are a couple of things that I've noticed. So
Mm,
yeah, I think some there can be some personal growth, and yeah,
mm,
actually learning to how we're leaning into trying some new things, working with people, slowly trusting people, that kind of thing.
mm, mm, mm. Yeah, that's quite interesting, because especially in smaller organizations, I suppose, if work quite closely with people and like your experiences, positive and negative, um, can really influence how you see collaboration, and that does get in the way of actual collaboration. You expect your previous expectations. Is that what you're saying?
It could do, yeah, yeah. Maybe
Yeah,
if you've had
that's
not
really
such a
interesting.
good experience of working
Mm, mm,
with someone, you could be worried that that might happen again, or
mm,
yeah.
mm.
So
Yeah.
I think it's just something to be aware of, and
Yep.
yeah, uh,
Mm.
yeah.
That's really interesting. And what do you tend to do to sort of help people work through that stuff? Because before you can do marketing for them, you're going to have to get them over that hump, right? What do you do?
Yeah, yeah. Good question. Um, I think I first of all, I probably kind of recognize it and bring it to
Mm, mm,
awareness. Yeah.
mm,
Sometimes um, I go slow with people at their
yep.
pace, how fast or slow they want to go.
Mm,
Sometimes, like often there'll be sort of a discovery kind of workshop up
mhm,
front
mm.
for
Oh,
pieces of work
cool.
that I do.
Cool.
And yeah, like that is, I think that can be quite a kind of good platform to start things on. Sometimes I'll just like get out like some pens and paper, and we'll have like a kind of
Yeah.
drawing like session,
Yep.
um, and I think, yeah, just establishing like that connection first,
Mm,
and listening also. That discovery session is so important because they know heaps about
that's right.
their work already. They
Yeah.
know, like this is talking like if I'm working with them as a client, they already
Mm,
know about all the challenges of their business and everything. So
100%.
my job first is to listen to all of that, and yeah, then offer the skills that I have to kind of put those together, I guess.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. It's interesting, sort of the kind of core discovery kind of work that you're doing. That's something I do as well, often with people,
Mm.
is sort of let's have a conversation about the thing that you want to have a conversation about, rather than just jumping into the mahi itself.
Mm,
There's
mm.
so much of that. Yeah,
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 yeah, yeah. Well, I do kind of use like I guess a design framework in the way that I
yeah,
work, which
yeah.
is how I met you, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah, I was going to
um,
say, yeah, that's right.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So
Do you, yeah. Mhm. How do you use the design frameworks? What's your way of doing some of that?
mm, I think it's called the double diamond
Yeah,
framework.
yeah, yeah.
I think,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Use that one.
something I picked up a
Yeah.
little way back.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, or design thinking kind of
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
approach, which, now I'm learning more about systems thinking approaches.
Oh, yeah.
Haven't, I think you're more over across that than I am now,
I,
but starting to
very
um,
cool.
learn about that and how I can maybe incorporate that into the way that I work as
Nice.
well. Like,
Yep, yep, yep.
yeah, interestingly, because marketing is kind of about systems as well.
That's
Like,
right.
well, everything is, right? But
Yeah, yeah.
uh, and I've noticed that in the way I design like a strategy, I'm increasingly thinking about, okay, but how is this going to work in their system that they're already
Nice.
operating in? So yeah, that's quite interesting.
That's very interesting. And when you say systems, you don't mean just the technology systems or the media
No, no,
systems.
no. Yeah, yeah. So, how how are we gonna design like a marketing strategy plan, whatever, that's actually gonna work within how
Mm,
they're working, with the team, with the systems, with,
yeah, yeah,
the audiences they need to reach, and also
yeah.
um how is it sustainable so that it can
Nice.
kind of keep going, in a manageable way. Yeah.
Hmm. Is it quite hard to get teams to do that?
Can be.
Yeah,
But,
because I think
you know,
yeah. But
I think
go on.
if people are keen, they
Mm,
wanna be involved, it's all
yep,
good,
yep,
If
yeah.
you wanna, yeah, if you want to join in, work together, then we can figure out a way, I think that's the most important thing.
Mm. Yeah, it's interesting how sort of with the design stuff, with system stuff, helping people think through some of this stuff. It's challenging. It's rewarding. I mean, in similar place. So it's so rewarding to sort of be part of those conversations. Also, the challenge of helping people shift. But
Mm,
also, I think you kind of mentioned this when we started about talking about change. It's to help other people shift. We need to be able to shift as well. So
mhm.
you're kind of this.
Yeah.
It's hard and messy. Yeah, it's so
Yeah,
much
totally.
dramas, internal dramas, external drama. Not so much external, even just internal dramas. You know, there's so much of that. Yeah, I find it quite fascinating.
Good challenge.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
What?
definitely. Yeah, um, there's a equal amount of,
Mm,
awareness on your own part and, yeah,
yeah.
thinking if you can do things differently to
Mm-mm,
work better, yeah.
mm-mm. Do you have tips for people who are trying to do similar things to what you're talking about? You know, sort of marketing for purpose, value-driven organizations, or someone starting out in kind of those spaces?
Um, hmm, um, one thing that comes to mind is
Mm,
just, like, when I think about, like, the term, like, values-led, I've
mm.
noticed it popping up a lot lately as well, and I'm starting to think, "What does this mean? Like, what is it defined as?"
Nice.
And to me, because everyone has different values as well.
That's right.
So, but I sort of one thing that does come to mind is, like, just kind of, thinking how you would like to be treated and in situations and, yeah, kind of going with
Mm,
that, treating, it's the classic treating people how you'd like to be treated.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, so, yeah, I don't know, that's all
Yeah.
I'll say.
Yeah, that's my wife has that, and she when I ask her, what are your values? What are your values? You know, and she says exactly that. Treat
Mm,
people the way you want to be treated. And it's really interesting because it does sort of encapsulate so much of it. I mean, we've been talking lately around workplaces, around psychological safety, and sort of how we treat each other and how we make places safe for
mm,
disagreement and all of those
mm.
things. So much of that is around treating people how you want to be treated, eh?
I think it's part of it. I mean, I'm not saying it's a
Mm.
comprehensive,
No, 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 no.
definition,
Yes.
but
Not for the yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that just comes to mind. Yeah,
Mm, mm,
so,
mm.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Are there any particular projects or places you've worked at that you've particularly loved? I mean, not saying that you didn't love the other ones, but are there particular projects that are quite close to your heart?
Um, well, I do so much, I actually have to,
Mm.
like, tell myself to not, um, do so much, like, volunteer
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah.
but I do so much kind of collaborative, just, like, random creative projects and
Mm.
or, community work, and I think I don't remember what your question was now, but I think I just like that because it is so collaborative. It does allow you to be creative, and you have quite a lot of freedom in in what you're doing, but also you do need to. It teaches you a lot about working with people and connecting with people because it is volunteer. So if you don't do things, like people don't have to be there. So
Yeah. That's right.
yeah.
Yeah, interesting. And when you're volunteering with these places, are you volunteering in a marketing sort of capacity as from your professional skills, or?
Yeah, generally I'll offer something from my kind of skill set.
Mhm.
Like with Women in Urbanism did their website recently, or
Nice. Yeah.
kind of just general kind of Marcoms like guidance. Yeah.
That's very cool. Are there aspects of what you do that you like more than others? There must be some aspects you like more than others.
Oh, gosh. I can't think at the moment. Like I do quite enjoy I think I just like having variety most of all. Like and having some like working with people involved. I like being creative in a sense of like, maybe doing some content or like writing
Oh,
and
nice.
that type of thing. But then equally, I like to make it work. So actually like get it into the platform or system and actually like see it happen.
Yeah.
So
Fair enough.
yeah.
Yeah. That's really fascinating. Thanks so much for this chat, Nikki. And yeah, I know this is not great, your comfort space, and I really massively appreciate you actually coming on to agreeing to have a chat with me on this. As we sort of coming sort of to the close of this conversation, is there any, we've already sort of talked about some tips for other people starting, but what are some things that you wish was slightly different about the world when you're working with people in kind of this space?
Mm. Well, thinking about when I started out, it was a very different world when I started.
Really?
First of
Yeah,
all,
yeah.
well, I mean, it was pre-COVID, right?
Yeah.
So
Oh, true. Yes.
yeah, um, I think it's really important to. It's great if you can find something you're passionate about because that makes everything so much easier.
Mm,
If you're
yeah.
interested in the topic, then you'll want to be promoting it. It's very hard to
Mm,
promote something you don't believe in.
yeah.
Because in some ways you're selling it, so you want to believe in what you're selling.
Mm.
And if you are in a situation where you are maybe the only marketer, or you don't have like a team around you, or you just maybe don't feel super connected,
Mhm.
then really look to find a community and put that around you, whether it's outside of work or wherever. Just find that group that you
Mhm.
can
Yeah. Yeah, there's something about the community that kind of holds you at the times when you can't really hold yourself, eh? There's so much of
yeah.
that.
So
Mm.
important. Everyone needs community, so make sure you
Oh,
have
heck.
one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a really good ending line. Everybody needs community. Make sure you have one. Yeah. No, thank you very much for your time, Nikki. Unfortunately, we kind of do need to finish now, but thanks very much for your time. Really appreciate this conversation. I might end the stream now. For those of you watching, thank you. Check out Nikki's site, Impact Digital. Easy enough to find. She's a marketer. No jokes.
Thank you, Brooke.
Yeah, you're very welcome, Nikki. See you, folks.